Okay, so when I started making this movie, it was in like a 5-page, run dirty kind of genre thing that we wanted to make, and it was a werewolf thing. And then as I sat down and worked on it more and more, it started becoming. All right. So you want to start?
Sure. One of the things that got me really invested in the idea and the concept, and what really excites me about working on it, was the idea of exploring those kind of darknesses.
And so I sort of thought about it a little bit, and the more and more we sort of built some of the world building stuff, and I realized it was a movie about darkness.
I think that people often get confused with this idea of darkness because we've so attached that word evil to it.
So the reason that we use the term darkness rather than something like evil is, one, because it's more mythic. I like the sort of definition of darkness as the darkness in the land. There's something to that I like that's fantasy, and it works with our sort of language base in the movie.
To me, evil is really a distortion of darkness, a distortion of, yin and yang, and taking things to a level where, you're not even in darkness anymore. Like, you're just completely enveloped in what I would call the abyss, which is, for lack of better terms, just a loss of self, a loss of connection to others, a loss of connection to the principles that make us what we are.
There's two types of darkness. There's the darkness around you, and there's the darkness within you. And so the darkness within you could be an example of something that you're really ashamed of, something that you are afraid to share, usually secret. There's usually one secret that people have that they've never told anybody that kind of binds them and it holds them, and it's got them imprisoned. And then that darkness will find its way into the physical world because it hasn't been processed internally.
So for me, that was realizing that I was gay when I was 11 years old. Realizing I wasn't like everybody else, and that something else was kind of different, and you immediately are scared by that. I think when we're not given the opportunity to be open and be able to share and discuss a lot of those things, I think that's when that darkness can really eat away inside of you.
All cultures told myths where, you had to face the darkest part of yourself to really become your best self. As I was part of a Christian homeschool group that discovered that I was secretly attending nightclubs with, gay nightclubs, and that my sexuality, which had not been, really disclosed, was now on the table, and I was fired from the position. I lost all of my friends. My family life kind of fell into complete disarray. And I became so jaded. When we lose our network, the things, the people who support us, who make us feel loved and validated, when we completely lose that, it's torn away, then we tend to lean into the darker parts of our nature. There was just this moment, this epiphany for me that, the greatest things in life, the things that are most valuable, often come from struggle, from suffering, from hardship.
How he manifested this in the Amos is his journey very much comes down to the fear that he's possibly a monster. But really what we're doing with the movie and what he is going through is a fear of embracing the magic of life. Could it be real that I am the master of my own destiny? That I do have that authority and power, that it just is waiting to be taken, and that I am just terrified as hell to give it? And then how we see that manifest is through romance, because a huge part of finding that power is finding love.
Having your sights on something higher is important. It makes us noble. It makes us yearn for a better life, a better way of being. And I think that the archetype of the goddess, is so important because the Great Mother is mercy.
And so he's forced to contend with this idea of the love that potentially he could have, and then his father, who is very much still terrified of any sort of magic or mystery in the world, and has a very rigid, sort of almost religious-like structure in which this is how the kingship has worked, this is how royalty works, and this is what you need to follow, and that's what will keep you safe.
And I think Elise, the character, represents this archetype in a way that kind of glorifies the feminine aspect and how that merciful energy is necessary for our development. Because if you can't have mercy for yourself, if you can't have mercy for others, then you'll always be stuck in this place of indignation and justice and vengeance, and those emotions without the temperance of mercy can become quite vile.
He has to go through that struggle, and the thing that's going to get him there is love that he has in his life that's present. But, love isn't just all good times all the time.
And so then how do you deal with that struggle? How do you meet someone like that, have that connection with someone, and also sense that it might be a little bit manipulative, that it might not be right, that it's not the best thing for you, and still be able to learn it, experience it, so that you can take that knowledge and wisdom with you, and you can essentially marry yourself to your side of love, to understanding that, so that you can go and heal the curse of the kingdom, right? To be able to go back and take that into society and say, all right, here's how we're going to do things now. Here's what I think is right, and here's what I think is best, knowing full well that it might not be, but that you're going to try.